All right, welcome back, Zan. Welcome back, everyone. Today I wanted to make a shorter but possibly more practical episode, and
Mm.
wanted to, in light of live events which are on the radar. I think we're a couple of weeks out from both the members Amorati conference, but also you're hosting a live training around this time. I
Right.
wanted to give a view into what it's actually like to be in
Yeah.
the training room with you in particular. And by doing so, I wanted to draw out some really practical things that people watching the podcast might be able to put into action themselves over the next week or two. Um, the main thing I think is worth really pointing out is there are a lot of different trainings in the world about how to communicate authentically, listen, be in presence, exercise the masculine and the feminine, dating coaching, approaching the whole gamut there. There's a whole, you know, people do write themselves big lists of every training that I need to do in order to be ready to be the kind of man I can be, right? And there's a comprehensive offer out there. Um, but you didn't learn the stuff you teach, you didn't learn from anyone. You didn't get from anywhere else. So you never took an approach training. You never took a masculinity tantra workshop. You never did a emotional processing retreat. You never sat at the feet of some Eastern guru and got secret techniques for energy circulation, right? So
No. No.
you are in the world of teaching um, tools, frames, ways of being, ways of seeing in the land of women. You are what we could call a lineage holder. Like you got your stuff from you sourced it yourself. You sourced it through experience, through life itself, and there's no one upstream who you go run into when you need to update your toolkit, right? So it's plucked out of experience
No.
itself. So I mean, it,
Huh.
let's start in a couple of places. What do you think is can you give us a story or an image of one thing that you're teaching at the moment that you're quite excited about that you're pretty certain exists nowhere else?
Oh, okay. Well, I've been let me just preface this a little bit. I've been
Yeah.
such an observer of the human condition. And by that, I mean men and women connecting each with each other. I've observed it since I was very small, been curious about it immensely. And I've really, because of my observational skills and my parsing that information into something maybe usable and basically being shareable now. I've seen further than others when it comes to this dynamic of men and women. So the things that I talk. Sorry, my voice is a little rough today. So the things that I share with men is not only different than what others are sharing. It's in some ways it's quite opposite with the right nuance and the right spirit. Um, I didn't take any trainings from anybody. I had no mentor. I had no teacher ever. And but I have a great observational skills and ability to take that and go and to ponder it. I think so. Let me give an example of something that, for instance, I my training that I do that I've been doing the last couple of years, which is my labor of love now, and it's the highest thing I've ever done. It's the most advanced thing I've ever done. In fact, I think it's the most advanced thing that I know of. And when it comes to dynamics of men and women, it takes the philosophy I've been espousing for the last 25 years, writing about, talking about in public spaces, etc., and practicalizes it, puts it in practical aspects so that when I do my What Would Zan Do live event, my training event, we do it with actual women. And so the observers in the audience, my small cohort of men, because I keep it small, observe the way. Well, first of all, I call it "What Would Zan Do" because, to the benefit and the detriment uh, of this kind of training, the benefit is that it is very, very practical, and then you get to observe in situ me as I'm interacting with women, and I get to observe you to trying to replicate that, or let's go through it again, and we go through the motions of moving, etc. But the detriment is that it can't scale. If I don't, I can't teach somebody how to have my viewpoint in my stories, and to really dig that out and extract it from the 8 or so students that I have, and have them to magically go through it. I can't train that to somebody else to share in that way. So it's a what would I do? What would Zan do? And I can't scale it more than a few men at a time, because then they're just sitting passively observing. Nobody gets to have the exercise, and you can't really capture it exactly perfectly on writing at all, or in which I'm trying to do, or in film. So as long as I continue to do these live events, it'll be available. But it bothers me constantly because it just can't scale, and I wish others could see it, because it's really fun and really exciting and really life transformational. And I don't say that lightly. I think I'm shocked at the effect that it has on me in the room with these gentlemen and these women, because it is so deep down practical, and it is so, I'll tell you kind of the aspect I do, Jordan, is the practical aspect is, because I've done lots of philosophizing. You don't need to hear that anymore. So the practical aspect is, if I'm going to show a sub-communication exercise, I show it to the men as observers as I would do it in real life with 2 women, for instance. This is how I would do it. This is how I would sub-communicate. This is how I would show them my intention, my ideas, my everything, with my smile in my eyes, of the side of my eyes. And they observe that. And then they get to, one at a time, replicate it with me correcting and saying, or do it with me, and let's dance together, sort of thing. And then the third aspect is because we have a small group, we can do this. The third aspect is I have it so that I'm the girl to them, and they replicate the exercise with me being the girl. And the fourth way is they're the girl to me. We're sitting over there.
Yeah.
And I show them what I would sub-communicate looks like. And when I do that last quadrant, that he's being the girl to me, you see the light bulbs going, now I get it. Oh, now I feel it. Now I understand it. Now it's the strongest thing I've ever done. And I don't know anybody that's doing an exercise where, okay, you be the girl and I'll do it to you. You know what I mean?
What I'm hearing is there's a few different uh, techniques, exercises, moves. We'll get onto this in a minute. But every single time you train one of these things, you're training it in a number of different perspectives. So
Yes.
he's gonna be him with the girls. He's gonna see you with the girls. You're gonna do it on him. He's gonna do it on you. So
That's right.
everyone is sitting in all the different
Yeah.
perspectives around the table to really understand what each of these moves
Yeah.
experientially is like from
Like I
360
show
degrees.
100%. I show, like, if you're sitting on a date across from her, and we actually physically do this. Okay. You sit here. Now, this is how I would reach out and put my energy into the space and go out here and gather more information, or more energy to bring back into the space. And so I'm not, staring into her, soul gazing and overwhelming her. And you create an air of mystique, etc. And I do that exercise with the guys as they're the girl, and
Mhm.
they do it to me. And it's the light bulbs are firing, man. The guys that take my What Would Zan Do have read my book 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. They've read it 3 or 4 times. They've seen my YouTube videos. They've heard it all. And when they come here within the first day, you see their eyes on fire, because they finally feel it internally, viscerally. And I can't show it any other way than in real life. I'm struggling to write the second book of mine, because I'm trying to capture these same types of spirits and nuances in writing. But if I say, okay, the way I keep the rhythm going with a woman is I'm in and I'm out. That's exaggerated, but there's my spirit is going in, wait, tell me some more about you. And I'm going to think about this for a sec. Oh, wait, I have another question. And I demonstrate this because that's what I do. I'm in and out constantly. I'm constantly
Yeah.
moving in and out. That's what Would Zan do. And the problem is I can't write that in a book because guys go, okay, Zan said to do
hmm
this.
So,
So
there's ways that you have of modulating your tone of voice, your posture, your movement,
yeah,
your energy, in an interaction with a woman, and in terms of the space around you and the woman.
right.
There's particular ways that you do that that is very unique. That is a whole bunch of context that you can't put in the book. Um, I remember being on the receiving end. So let's say I'm helping you out with an event, and you're like, "Okay, everyone, we're gonna do the demonstration on Jordan. He's the girl," and I'm just like, "Shit," because I know it's so intimidating actually to be on the receiving end of the energy that you're translating here. It's almost like I've done this a few times in a tango dancing class and kizomba, which I danced a little bit as well, when the teacher is like, okay, look, you've got a problem with your
Yeah,
leadership in dancing. You're going to be the woman, and I'm going to lead you around the dance floor. And you've got this male dance teacher
exactly what it is.
leading me, and I'm in the feminine role, and I'm going backwards around this thing. And I'm overwhelmed and intimidated because I'm on a receiving end, which I never, ever, ever do, right? I'm kind of always typically driving forward in every pursuit, and then I'm going backwards all of a sudden. It's intimidating, it's a lot of energy, but it's also in a very strange way enjoyable because it's like, oh yeah, all you have to do now is like let go, surrender, enjoy try and feel the feelings, let go. And usually I come out with a smile on my face, which is um subversive to say because I've just been in the feminine role. And I'm like, God, now I know what it really feels like, and it's a roller coaster. Like to me, I can see why so many women in the world love going dancing, um, and a split between not enjoying themselves because a lot of the men are their leadership's a bit ropey, they're still learning, they haven't
Right.
got it, but yearning for a 1 3 minute dance where they're just transported by someone who
Wow.
knows
Yeah.
exactly what they're doing in their body. So the being on the receiving end of that is really something, and it's the same in your workshop. I'm almost frightened to be the girl in your exercises, but the empathy of it is extreme.
Yeah.
um let's get a couple of examples. I mean, I want to speak this through a couple of different uh, types of men who come into the workshop that I've seen. Let's say
Oh,
you've got someone who's just been in monk mode for the last 2 or 3 years, working on his probably online projects, and he's not been out, and he's feeling very,
yeah.
very wooden. And a lot of the time with men like this, they've got a real outsized or distorted view of the value of their presence when they're out and about with women, which is they think, I'm so rusty, I've been so closed off, I'm nothing, I've got no presence, no alluring power here, I'm just out of the game and rusty. In reality, women notice him very strongly, and he's
Sure.
got a lot of gifts to bring to the table, but he's just out of touch with that.
Yeah.
So what do you do day one to get someone who's been in monk mode out of the game for a long period of time to start easing in, like to come into the swimming pool, to start feeling the flow of it, to pick up a couple of motions that are gonna start feeling good to him, right? That to give him a step to get moving forward.
Well, my whole thing is because because I didn't have a teacher and I was so um, malignantly insecure about myself in my 20s. Oh, sorry. For me to, for me to approach a, a woman in a bar, for instance, would be just like, it just break me out in hives. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Like, and I just really felt self-conscious. And by that, I mean, um, just not good enough to talk to her. I really thought that. Strange, man. I think about it now. I think about it now. What the heck was I thinking? I look back at pictures of myself and thinking that wasn't so bad, you know. But anyway, um, so I learned from my cobbled together experience and my non-mentored learning, my didactic type of life that I've had, I learned to approach without approaching. So this is the difference between me and the entire pickup artist community, is that they're out there, chasing girls around the mall, and me, I'm trying to set up things in a certain way. I'm trying to strategically align things up, arrange the flow of any venue that I'm in. So like I park myself judiciously in certain points. If you want to have a coincidence, you got to set it up very carefully, and so for instance, I don't go into a venue like a bar or lounge until I scope out the scene and say, okay, the flow is going this way. There's a square bar in the middle. It's going to flow this way. The women are going to, they're sitting at tables, for instance, right? But there's the women's bathroom. So I'm going to strategically park on the corner of the bar right here because the women are going to be flowing by. I'm very, very strategic, and I do it automatically. At any restaurant I go to, anything, I'm thinking, where's the best spot? Subconsciously, And so, because proximity to me is everything for me, as opposed to packing my suitcase of opening lines and straightening my tie and walking over there with my luggage and putting it down and saying, hey, can I have the seat with you? Can I talk to you? Can I make a joke? Can I opening line? Can I entertain you? I just can't. I just never learned how to do it. I need an approach coach myself, because I wouldn't know what to say. If you said, go talk to the table of 4 girls, I'd be like, okay, that Jordan told me to come talk to you. I'd be tongue tied, believe it or not. I'm not this, this whatever, but proximity is fantastic. My opening line generally is over my shoulder, metaphorically and realistically, so that I'm like dropping a seed of something over here and then out again, and just checking to see if there's receptivity. So my long-winded question to your answer to your question about the guy who's come out of his monk mode for after 3 or 4 years and he's trying to sort himself out again, is you can put yourself strategically in certain ways. This is what I would do. This is the difference though. And I have disclaimers all over my What Would Zan Do training. This is me. This is not you. This may not be your best foot forward. But I'll show you what I do, and you can take what you want from it. You can glean from my approach something that aligns with your spirit and for instance, I'm not a very good day game type guy to go into the park and girl walking a dog and stop her and talk to her and take her for ice cream. I don't know how to do that. For me, I like the electricity of the evening, and it's just me. I like the neon, the boom, boom, boom feel of a lounge or a coffee bar or something that's kind of where she has to dress up and she's, and the lights are dim. I like that. It's my spirit. So, that's what Would Zan Do. And there's guys that saying, I met my wife in a park walking a dog. So don't listen to me.
So there's a couple of practical things that just came out of what you said. The first is you arrange everything in the environment so that the coincidence is kind of planned,
Yeah,
right? You meticulously arrange yourself in the space in relation to everything else that's moving in the space.
that's
And
correct.
therefore there's a way that a connection or a moment can happen
Even the
within
way I
that.
stand in the bar, for instance, exactly. If the women are going to come this way and the bathroom's there, I'm 3/4 this way. Like I just been doing it since I was 19. So that I really have a sense of how it's going to flow, and I do my best to optimize that because I want to be able to catch their attention as they flow by me, as opposed to going to the table and knock, knock, knock. I don't cold call.
And then you said the other very practical thing is your opening line is spoken over your shoulder.
Yeah, ish. Yeah, because and I demonstrate that in my live training. I try to write about this, but guys don't get it. I don't flat foot, square up, and talk to a woman.
Yeah.
I'm always. You talked about dance. it's the sashay in. I sashay in with one leading foot forward. This other foot is tapped out, ready to go, is leaving, and I sashay in, and I'll say something. Hey, compliment something you your friend, and then I sashay out. So I don't
Why?
plant because I'm several things. Number one, my energy's strong, and I don't want to overwhelm them, and I don't want to look like I'm hang around guy. Hang around guy comes up with his drink, stands there, plants his 2 feet steady, and he starts talking to them. And so, how do you know each other? And you look like sisters. And do you work here, near here? And do you come to this bar often? And he's got to continue this pitter patter because he planted himself. He committed without invitation. When I'm doing this and I say, hey, saying hi to all the pretty girls, and I'm back out to Jordan again, and I'm back into them again. I'm demonstrating that I'm not hang around guy unless I'm invited. I am not going to invade your space. You're gonna know I'm here because I'm gonna poke in there and say, hey, I like it. But I'm not going to camp on your energy. I'm not going to invade your space unless I'm invited. And I look for invitation. They ask questions. They smile. They laugh. They say something, whatever, and I go back in. But I'm planting a seed to see if they are receptive because they might be talking about their boyfriends and they're nice girls. So they smile and nod their head. Yeah. We know each other. Yeah, no, my sister. Ha ha ha. But they don't really want you to interrupt their conversation about their husbands or their boyfriends, and you're trying to suss this out. But they're being
Yeah.
nice girls. So I'm trying to test to see if I'm invited, if there's a receptivity. So I poke in and out, and I do not commit until I'm invited. I do not plant my feet or presume to take a chair, which is the strangest thing I've ever. The pickup artist used to say, just walk up there and, put your hands on the table and say a couple of things and then pull up a chair and sit there and like command attention. I'm like, what the heck? Anyway,
Yeah.
makes sense. You guys describe it?
Yeah. They would say command attention or own the frame or something like that. I think in
Right.
your case, there's let's say this is one skill, how you sashay in, but within this skill, there's a few other things that you're doing at the same time. One is how your body moves. So there is a body that is moving, and not all men have a body that moves so eloquently, or
I
like
appreciate
within our own control. So
I get the guy
that's
to do this. It's a dance
yeah.
move. I'm
Okay.
dancing. I'm on the balls of my feet when I talk to women. If I'm
Ah,
standing talking to you and Serene and so that, I'm flat footed telling jokes, whatever. My voice is whatever it is. As soon as there's women presence in the room, something in me gets into this ball on the ball of my feet. Let's go. It's time to dance. It's time to have a little sparring match. Let's go. I'm ready. I can feel it. So and
hmm,
I show all that. I demonstrate that because it's hard to describe, but it's real. It's real, and women can feel that. Women can feel it. If you're just a guy that's like flat-footed, talking, giving information, asking questions, interview style, there's nothing in. There's no mystique in you. And they're worried that you're going to hang around when you're not necessarily invited. So
yeah.
I'm making sure that I'm demonstrating I'm not going to hang around unless you invite me. Then I'm going to stick around.
One of the one of the men who is most powerful with women that I've ever seen, um, alongside you, somebody else. Um, I remember he would tell me a story. We were walking along the street and we hung out in New York, and we'd get to a point and he got so excited about his own story that he stopped and then he rotated me. So I was there flat-footed, but he must have circled me to about 270-degree angle, like all the way around the front, all the way around the back. He touched me, touched my shoulder, moved around. He was gesturing in, he was pointing
Oh
out
my
like
God.
that. Then he would end on this side of me. It was like in order to confer the story that he wanted to share, his point of view, he had to move 270 degrees through the
Yeah.
space. And I was left looking here and looking there and looking here. And by the end of it, I'm completely disoriented, uh, just trying to track this one guy who's trying to communicate something to me. And there was like this dynamism, but the dynamism was not, he was not trying to move around for any particular reason. His dynamism followed the point that he wanted to convey. He was alive, and his movement was actually part of his attempt to
I
communicate
like
what he
describe it
believed in.
ready. I like the guy, just the description of him, because he's a storyteller. The
Yeah.
thing that I am more than anything is is a storyteller. And storytellers, real storytellers, the ones that really just to captivate the audience, are in motion because they're reliving the story and they're saying,
Hmm.
"Hey, and you're gonna love this," and oh, and I have something now. Oh, here's another point I just thought of. There's an activity in there. They're interactive with the audience. They're not just okay. Here's another story, and you're gonna like this point. The tonality of their voice and the movement of the symphony that they're of their dance matches the story. And so this guy's a storyteller.
Okay, let's go back into that in just a second. Just with your approach, the other skill I hear is you got to be absolutely pristinely aware of when she has an invitation to you or not. And that's the difference between being nice or polite, but actually energetically closed versus she's actually energetically open and wanting to receive your approach or what you're bringing to her.
Let me just clarify that a little bit here, Jordan,
Yeah,
because all the greats that I've ever known, and I've known a few, but only a few, that it's just you just can immediately see that they get it. Women like them. They move through the land of women with ease. The thing we're talking about this whole podcast, and you can just see that. And I know a few guys like that, and what they have is I specifically they've said to me, and the same thing I have is they don't go towards a woman unless they feel they're 75% invited. That's certain. In other
yeah,
words, they're scanning and checking in with her before they approach her. Like cold calling is something that I can't imagine these guys. Well, I'm just saying it very absolute here. Cold calling, like to tap a girl on the shoulder and say, "Hey, I want to say something to you." They would, but it's very rare. Very rare. These guys are always, in other words, they're scanning for invitation. They're not leaving things to chance. They leave nothing to chance. If there's women in the room, every woman's going to know that I see you, I see you, I see you, I see you, and I see you. And then they're looking for the ones that are like have potential receptivity to that. Then they make a gesture toward that proximity, or they'll smile, or they'll flash their eyes at her, or they'll wink at her, whatever. And looking for if is that landed? Is those photons reflected, or they absorbed?
yeah.
And then they follow up with that. So they're looking for the ones that already the soil is fertile.
Yeah. I mean, in my experience, when it comes to cold calling, I have to know with such a high level of energy and conviction that I really like her and have to speak to her. If I
Correct.
approach with that level of conviction, it typically opens her because I'm really real. But if I'm a bit tepid or I'm just shooting my shot or
It's a
doing
girl.
some numbers game or whatever, like it's typically a very cold rebuttal. But what you're saying about the her as an open invitation is kind of like a bee will only go into an open flower or a 75% open flower. So the question a lot of guys have, and I mean, this comes completely back to what you're teaching is um, subcommunication.
Yeah.
I walk into a room. Let's say I have been in my head for so long, I've become a social ghost. And I walk into a room and I look around and there are no open flowers. Literally.
Yeah.
And some men are like this. Some men are really like this. I walk into a room and I'm like some dark emanating star, and all the open flowers then close because they can feel me come in with this, I don't know, stench of negativity or neediness that I'm admitting. This really, really happens, right?
Yeah. Of
Um,
course.
or let's say more neutrally, the kind of guys that we work with for sure come into a room and they just feel that their presence doesn't really have any ripple effect on the field around them. And they look around and they see all these flowers, but they're all turned in on conversation with each other. They see no open invitation or opportunity. And yet, some men do walk in the room and it is like the sunshine and the daffodils all turn towards, I mean, we're talking 3 to 5 degrees, I think, of her shoulder kind of opening or loosening, but there's a shift. It's like all the flowers start turning towards the sun. So
Yeah. Well,
how, you- how do you as a man come in with a particular presence that seeds more invitation
I,
in the women in the social environment?
Well, I'll say this: that every woman in every environment notices every guy that arrives. It just doesn't look like it. But out of the corner of their eye, they've scanned them already. They've already sussed it out. That's why they would notice the one that has kind of any kind of a presence. Um, they might just be completely talking and doesn't look like it, but they've seen you almost certainly. So, and if you've got this negative, um, needy energy on you, they're close. You're right. The flowers all close because they don't want you to spill that energy onto them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and especially guys that have that now from that basis and these flowers are closed, go try and cold call and approach and approach and approach, and the women are like, yeah, we're not really interested, thank you. And they're trying to be polite. Some will not be polite. Some will be really mean and just like cast them aside, like get away from us. And I don't want to have that cast aside. I don't want to have that turned shoulder on me. So that's why I don't approach. I approach with my eyes. And so I think that a guy who's, if you've taken care of yourself in the best way you can, your hygiene is good, you dress as best as you can, you're doing the best of the way with God gave you, then your sincerity is good, and it's a good thing. So you can walk into a space, into a lounge or a bar or a cafe or something like that, and you can let your presence be known from here. I'm like anybody else. Nobody's going to look up. They've noticed me, but nobody's going to look up and look at me and stare at me like this, unless I'm wearing some crazy outfit or something, like like I'm doing something crazy. But I want to get noticed, so I'm always scanning the scene, and I show this in my workshop. I show it in my workshop. I'm scanning the scene, so they're not looking. Those two girls are not looking, but I'm standing here with Jordan, and I'm willing them to look. I have a physical willing. I'm actually actively willing them to look. I have to. It's demonstrable, but not really describable. Because I want them to look over in this direction towards me, and they'll glance over, but maybe not even with a tent. Maybe they're just looking around the room to see what happened here. As soon as I catch their eye, I let them know with my eyes, I see you. I see you, and I like what I see. I'm communicating. I'm sub-communicating. Most guys, as soon as she glances at their eyes, they look away, and they look back again. I let her know I see you, and I don't stare at her, but I'm communicating in a kind, curious way. I see you, and I like what I see. And the reason I do it is because if I walk over and approach and say, "Hey, I see you, and I like what I see," I could get that cold shoulder, that turn of the screw, and it's hard for me to take. So I don't want to have that rejection feel. But from here, and if she rejects me, if she looks flat at me like this, doesn't give receptivity, looks away, all right, I would waste my time cold calling.
So this, just to check, this sounds like in the middle of the morning or the afternoon, and you walk into a cafe and she's on a laptop, let's say, and she's got
Yeah,
AirPods in the ears, silencing mode. You might be up by the bar ordering your drink, but you're looking towards her, and through some act of mentalism, um, but also like a gift of positive energy rather than the dark sorcerer mentalism. Like you're looking at her and willing her to see you,
that's right.
and then you acknowledge back, and I guess that there's a kind of there's a magnetism of attention and eyes and intention and pinging around the room that your look will just get her to look up and register you.
That's my best effort.
Yeah.
Maybe they just accidentally look up, but I feel like I'm actively trying to get her to look over here,
Yeah.
and maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Maybe it's just she just looks. I don't know, but
For
I'm
sure.
definitely doing it. I'm actively trying to. I'm leaving nothing to chance. I'm going to be looking at her. I want her to look at me, and as soon as she looks at me, I acknowledge her. I see you, and I like what I see with my smile and my eyes. Flash my eyes at her because I want, and then the next girl, same thing. I want I'm looking to see what's the scene here. You
Yeah.
know.
There was certainly a moment in my journey with this. I mean, let's say I'm in monk mode, which I can be sometimes still. I walk into a cafe and I'm so in my thoughts. One definition of presence is how far outside of yourself and into the space does your awareness go? So if your
Mm,
presence or your awareness is just up here, like all I'm aware of, literally, and I've had friends walk up to me and slap me in the face, and I'm like, I didn't even see you come in, and they were like, I know you're so in your head, I could get away with that, right? Like my presence was about an inch bigger than my own head. I was so absorbed. So I walk into a space here, I don't know anything that's going on around me, and I can't project any presence out into the space. And typically I'd walk into a coffee shop, I'd be in my head, maybe hoping there'd be a girl or someone checking me out, but I'd be so much like this that everyone would carry on, regardless. I had no impact on the room. But I hit a certain point where I'd practiced having my awareness and curiosity out, kind of focused on the whole room around me. So I could walk into a place, and now rather than stuck like this, somehow my presence was, I paid
right.
attention to things 10, 20 meters away from me. Therefore, things 10 or 20 meters away from me were also impacted on me being aware of them. And all of a sudden I can walk into a coffee shop and not even scan with my head, but feel or perceive all around the room, and then heads will look up from their laptops and just check me out. And if I'm not in my head and I walk into a coffee shop, I feel like for the body type and the looks that I have an outsized ability
Mm,
to attract attention from people in the room. And I routinely walk into coffee shops, and stunning women on their laptop will look up at me. It's not like they're looking up at me and drooling and like touching themselves all over, because I mean, occasionally it's
you have that
happened.
thing.
Yeah, it's happened, but typically it's just like a what's that? A force has just entered the room. What's that? There's a ping or a looking,
Yeah,
and that might
sure.
turn into the second ping. What was that? The third ping. Oh my God, I keep checking out that guy. Oh, boom, boom. Now you have a story. Actually, that's
Yeah.
starting to happen. But I mean, this routinely started happening when I learned how to put my attention out into the room.
Yeah, and it's an active. You're actively moving through life as opposed to just passively. You know, and it doesn't mean you're chasing everybody, and it doesn't mean you're invading space because it's very important not to invade space.
Mm,
But you're definitely checking to see where there's invitation, where there's openness, what's open here in this space, and it's a conscious act. It's
mm.
something that you're meditatively doing consciously, or maybe by now, obviously, it's subconscious with me. I could be talking about the weather with you and our trip to Bali, and at the same time, under the corner of my eye, I'm like, I still have the subconscious intent.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there,
Well, there's a practice of how you pay attention to a space that you already know who is moving through what angles of the room. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know,
logistics is
there's certain professions. If you're a firefighter or something, like if your job is you need to install emergency exits in
yeah,
restaurants or nightclubs and stuff like that, you come into the room and you think about everyone's fire escape. Is everyone here going to be able to get out of the room?
when I
So
get out.
you've already got this habit of a broad attention every time you walk into an enclosed
That's right.
space.
That's exactly the attention space, the spatial awareness that I have too,
Yeah.
for certain. And I can
Here's
feel.
another question that I wanted to ask is, so we talked about the person that's been in a severe monk mode for a long period of time, how to kind of get out of that and feel your impact in the social space. I want to say one of the things I find most useful is when I felt that I had little presence and little impact on women, when I do some exercises and then I hear her feedback and I see her feedback, but the most important thing is when I take a step in and make a little gesture and then I take a step back, I see almost how energy moves in her own body, and she cannot help but to brighten into a blush or a smile. Like this is
Yeah,
priceless to me, because the thing I take away is I make a little gesture, like I might not even speak to her, but I come towards her, I open my body, I project something out, I come back, and I feel just with a nod or a wink or a gesture, um, her body changes. Like
that's
her face
right.
will get flush, she'll stroke her hair, but like something in her will relax or laugh. And I'm like, wow, it only took half a second of a particular gesture of my body, my attention, and already something moved in her. She changed because I put a bit of attention on her. This kind of feedback that proves to me I'm not a ghost here. Actually, I have quite a lot of power to shape things without even opening my mouth. That revitalizes me. That proves I'm an actor. Everywhere I go, I'm an actor in the space. That's a critical recognition because until the age of 30, I just thought I was not an actor. I didn't have the power to move anything in the physical space unless I started talking, like approaching people and then selling them on the concept of me and trying to
Right.
convince them, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Um, what I wanted to ask is there are other people who have done all the other workshops in the world, right? The tantric superior warrior,
Mhm.
the 16 hours of releasing emotion, all the rest of it, the guy that's done the pickup boot camp or whatever, and they come into your workshop. Um, can you give an insight about some of the things you teach to the man who's done everything, but seems to be missing something?
Oh,
Because I imagine, because I
yeah,
mean, for sure, you get guys coming to your workshop and they've done everything under the sun, and yet there's still something they're not grasping. Hence, why they come into the workshop, right? Why they
yeah.
want some kind of advanced feedback or training.
The thing I showed a man, I don't, is so unique. I don't know anybody that's showing anything like it at all. And so I get all walks of life in every age spectrum and country base, as you know, as you do too. In the guys that come, different strata, social strata or financial strata, et cetera, of these men, but they're all missing this. They're all missing this. They're they might be well understood of their embodiment, because they've taken years of practice with that. They might understand tantra. They might understand um, Toastmaster level of entertainment. They might understand all these things, but they're missing that spark, that mystique that make women go, wait a minute, there's something about him that I can't. The daydreaming feel. He's not tall like I usually like. Uh, he's not in shape. He's not rich. He's not. But I can't stop thinking about him. He's put something into me that is unique. So it's a unique prospect that I'm showing men how to have that distinct mystique that women can't resist, because that's all I've been studying all my life, right? Trying to understand that. So I guys have taken all kinds of programs. This doesn't compete or compare with any of it. It's a completely different. It's a nuance. A guy might really. I have guys that come to my training that are magnificently excellent with women. They can get all the most super girls to date them, but they can't sustain it for some reason. It flakes off. That's what they say. It, after one or two dates, she just kind of loses interest. And the new word today is ghosting. They get ghosted because there's nothing in him that magnetically hooks her. There's no hook. There's nothing in her
Mm.
for to daydream about and to whisper to her girlfriends about. Yeah, you know what he said last night, and you've got to have that quality. You got to. It's a theme that I have in my What Would Zan Do. I've got the whole thing is based around themes. In other words, my What Would Zan Do week is a training with me, which I'm doing again this year, and I don't know how long I'll sustain doing it, but as long as I'm doing it, the week progresses from if what would Zan do if he was single, how I would engage, how I would meet people, and then the middle of the week is what would Zan do if he's starting to see this girl now and starting to date her, doesn't want to mess it up,
Mm.
what's he's thinking, and then the last part of the week is Zan's in a relationship now. How does he foster that sense of devotion, adoration, and just incredible. And it's all mystique. Mystique goes out through the whole thing. There's all this not mystery, mystique. And so if you don't have that, you're just a guy. And I know guys that are very good with women, but they just everything's exposed, and there's nothing for her to dream about, nothing for her to whisper about to her girlfriends. That's what you need, because you need it's this. And I talk about it. So my whole What Was Andrew's got all these themes. One theme is subcommunication. One theme is audacity. One theme is your archetype, and one theme is mystique. How to foster mystique so that you meet a girl in the park, you meet the girl in the lounge, and she goes away with her head whirling. And go, wow, He's going to invite me on a date. What do I wear? What do I do? Run to her girlfriends. Help me, help me. That's what you want.
Yeah, that's not for all the different workshops out there, that's not a theme that I see on the list. Mystique. Everything is towards more openness,
Openness, authenticity.
authenticity,
Yeah, I don't have that.
vulnerability, and so
I
on.
don't have.
So,
Mine's
so
fun and playful.
yeah. Can can we maybe finish off the episode by sharing something that you do? How can your regular guy, jet into Bucharest, and for a week train his aura of mystique? How practically would he actually do that?
Well, like I said, I've got a small group of guys. I'm pretty much full. I'm almost full now because I don't want to take too many guys, but I can take one or two more for this September one. Is it September? Yeah, September. And basically, it's Monday to Friday. So we have the Amorati conference, the party, which you'd be my guest even if you're not a member of the Amorati. We have the Ars Amorata VIP party on Friday night. Saturday, Sunday, we have our conference. And then Monday to Friday, we can continue with that small cohort of gentlemen in the What Would Zan Do? And it's by the end of the week, your head will be reeling. But after the first day, you're going to be like, now I'm starting to get it. Without question, I'm certain of this. And by the end of the week, you will be so overwhelmed with the things we went through that you'll be reeling. And it's all practical application. You just have to get a place in the center of Bucharest, which is where I'm doing it this year, and then and be ready. And we have exercise, and we have girls the whole time because we need to demonstrate. I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is what I would do. This is how I would touch a girl. This is how I would shake both their hands. I'll show you how I do it. Just the way I've arranged my world. And it's nothing else than to observe me doing something this is how I would do it. Now there's maybe better ways, and I qualify that constantly. It
Mhm.
may not be the best way. My way may not be the best way. If I was an approach guy, a cold call guy, I imagine I would have had 1,000 more experiences in my life than I did, right? Maybe 2,000, because there's a lot of approaches I didn't do. So I just show you how I've arranged my life, how I've created a social energy around me, that our house is filled. We talked about in the last couple episodes, right? And I just and I tell stories, and we eat together in the evening, and I get to know you, and it's just a fun thing. And as long as I continue to do it, and I don't know how long I'll continue to do it, but anyway,
Great. Any final word on mystique?
no, yeah, Mystique. If you have to have a larger than life presence, and I don't mean like you're some, mountain climber that's done 17 world records. I don't mean that. The large in her mind, you got to be larger than life. You got to be a character to her, and something for her to dream about. And you've got to be not completely available and dumping all your like authenticities is great, but not for a woman you just met. I mean, like, well, authentic in your core of what you want, etc. But guys think that means to just dump everything onto her on their first date.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it isn't that. And I could say lots more about that, but
Yeah, that's
I,
another episode. What does it mean to be authentic in your core versus authentic in your neurosis, for
right.
example?
Yes,
Authentic in your desire versus authentic in your
exactly right.
temporary needy infatuation that you're developing.
Exactly. Like the woe
There's
is me.
different grades of,
You
yeah,
guys,
different grades of depth.
that's right.
On the
So,
topic of mystique, I have a friend. There's a lot of places now you make your order and they ask, what is your name? Right, for your coffee or whatever. And every single time the waitress asks, what is your name? He will say, Zorro.
that's Mystique. There you
And
go.
almost every single time, she smiles and she likes it. And she walks
That's
away and her
funny.
face is a little bit flushed. Yeah, it seems to work for him. Yeah.
That's funny. That's great.
Strange little.
Okay, Jordan. So yeah, so I'm doing that this year. I'm doing it in September,
Yeah,
and and if I get too many guys, maybe I'll spill it over to next year, but it won't be till May.
yeah.
I don't think. Maybe I do it
He,
in
he
January.
he's a committed man and a father. by the way. It's just for fun.
Perfect.
So we'll stick a link of how people can find you and come and do this
Okay.
work. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Come check it out. If this sounds like you want to do this deep work with me, get to know each other very well, then contact me and we'll have a discussion about it and see if it's something that's you're ready for at this time in life. Yeah.
excellent.
Thank you.
So yeah, members conference as well in a couple of weeks.
Ours Amorata conference coming up in a couple of weeks, end of September, September 26th, the party, 27, 28 is the conference, speakers, etc. And then Monday to Friday after that, October 20 or September 29th to October 3
That's the
is
live event.
a live training with me. If you're interested,
Okay.
come find me. Perfect.
All right. Thanks for the episode. See you next time.